tradition, the 56th annual Leatherneck Ball taking place in New York City. The mission is to honor Marines by educating and paying for the education of their children. Joining us now is the president and CEO of the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation, veteran Marine Lieutenant General Robert Rourke, and scholarship recipient Amanda Beckett. Her father served in the Marines in Vietnam as well. Thank you both for being here. General, first, if you will, for those not familiar with the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation, what is it and what is your mission?
Well, we were founded in 1962 here in New York City. We are the oldest, largest provider of need-based scholarship to military children. Our total is 40,000 scholarships worth $120 million over the last 55 years.
Wow, and Thursday night you had your ball here in New York City.
It was a celebrity. We celebrated a year of raising $3.1 million in 3 different states.
Fantastic. And Amanda, your father, first tell us a little bit about your father and his service, and then what this scholarship has meant to you.
So my dad joined the Marines in 1968, and he went to Vietnam in 1969. He served there within a machine gun platoon, so he was in the infantry, and it was a rough time for him. You know, he was in the service for quite a bit of time, and just being in Vietnam, as many people know, it was just really tough to be over there. Yep. It's still something that sits with him today, but his service is what has led me to be here and be eligible for a scholarship within the foundation. And being a part of the foundation has really changed my life because it helped me pay for school. When I graduated, I actually had no loans because of what the foundation has given me, so it was an amazing opportunity for me. And I just want to do anything that I can to pay it back and pay it forward for any other student. It's such a rarity for kids coming out of college these days to be debt-free, but also the connection, General, if you would, that you help draw between kids and the service of their parents and the reminder of what kind of sacrifice gets us all here.
Well, it's incredible. I've been on 10 different deployments in the Marine Corps in 36 years. I saw what the kids go through. They go through everything from financial turmoil to having to take charge of other siblings to having a parent on deployment, and also face, because of all the combat deployments we do, the possibility that that person may not come home or be severely wounded. So that's why we're here.
Absolutely. Amanda, you stood on the stage at the event.
Yes.
What does it all mean to you?
It just means so much. The Scholarship Foundation has given me so many opportunities, and I will forever be grateful for it. So if I can just give back in any way, now I am officially a donor myself. So I'm happy to be a part of that, and just to be able to give back and see that other students are going to be able to accomplish the same thing.
That is the full circle. General, if folks want to help, where can they go to give their own donations or get involved?
Well, please go to our website. It's www.mcsf.org. And we have lots of stories of our students and exactly what we do, and some great people like Amanda who have risen to the top of our, from our roots of being a daughter of a Lance Corporal, a Vietnam veteran. So it's they're great stories, and we encourage you to go to it.
mcsf.org is the website, and you can give directly to, and you know that money's going to kids whose parents served our great country.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for your story, for your time, and for your service to this country. Very cool organization. Well, you heard Devin Nunes accusing the DOJ of ignoring subpoena requests. Will congressional leadership do anything about it? House Majority Whip Steve Scalise responds next hour. And you'll hear from the man. The president was in Ohio for an economic roundtable.
The wall we have to build. How about the wall where everyone scales the wall?
Another judge has now rejected a Mueller move.
It calls into question whether or not it's gone way too far.
This is a witch hunt.
Folks that brought forth a bill that said voluntarily schools could post "In God We Trust" in the school. Well, that triggered a debate on the Minnesota State Senate floor.
Instead of the word God, the word Allah welcomes students to their school.
I don't want that motto on our money. I don't want it in our public schools.
We are banning Kanye West music from this radio station.
This political correctness is what I can't stand, and it's not about left or right, Republican or Democrat. It's that we're all human beings and we're all Americans.
The man with the Guinness World Record for most McDonald's Big Macs consumed over a lifetime ate his 30,000th Big Mac on Friday.
When I bit into that first Big Mac, it was just so good, and I just knew I was going to keep eating them all the time.
The theme of the day is Big Mac.
It is. Think about it. 1972, he bit into that first one, and he never turned back.
changed forever.
Forever. And he said, why would I eat anything else? And so he didn't.
How many? 30,000?
30,000. His first day, he ate 9 Big Macs. He loved them so much.
He's been doing it since 1972, only 8 days since 1972 to today has he not had 2 Big Macs a
He's
day.
in Wisconsin, so there's like blizzards and snowstorms have prevented him from getting to McDonald's.
He said he drove on a
Otherwise, he's made
blizzard.
it.
He actually made the effort, drove to McDonald's, and the restaurant was closed. That
So
was one of those 8 days.
right?
I love it. He said, my second favorite food is lobster. Why would I ever eat my second favorite food when I can eat my first favorite food, a Big Mac? I mean, I like Whoppers too, but I mean, McDonald's, loving it.
By the way, John Neoporti from Trump International in Florida just contacted me and said a championship of this nature has to be at their course, not at Bears Club. So if you've got a private club out there and you want to invite us to play golf, I mean, I'll take on Pete anywhere.
No cameras. I'll play golf off camera anytime.
All right. Well, happy Sunday to all of you. Thank you for joining us. And we have some breaking news this morning on the show. If you were watching just a few moments ago, we had Chairman House Intel Devin Nunes, who says another subpoena has been ignored. We are now taking the steps to hold Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, in contempt of Congress.
And what that means, basically, it's essentially accusing someone of obstructing the work of Congress. So just as there's been all this talk about Robert Mueller looking at obstruction of justice, you have Devin Nunes and other Republicans in the House who believe that Jeff Sessions, the president's own Attorney General, has been basically obstructing their work. This was used against Lois Lerner. You remember at the IRS. This was used in the 1970s. I was just checking against Joe Califano. And she ended up resigning because it was a pressure tactic. Joe Califano back in the 70s in the Carter administration.
It's the pressure tactic.
And what he did was he eventually turned over some materials to Congress, testified, if you will, I think in 76. So the point is, this is a pressure tactic to put more heat on Jeff Sessions to act, turn over more documents, help them get some answers.
That's right. Here's what he said.
The only thing left that we can do is we have to move quickly to hold the Attorney General of the United States in contempt. And that's what I'm going to press for this week. We will have to lay out, and we will probably have to go to court in order to enforce this subpoena. So we've been in discussions over the weekend with our general counsel for the United States Congress, where I can't imagine that the Attorney General Jeff Sessions is going to defend not providing pertinent documents.
Right.
We asked what documents. He said they're classified, obviously. He's trying to get the attention of the Attorney General. He even said maybe the Attorney General doesn't even know about this.
Because we asked if they'd respond. He said, we haven't heard anything from his office yet, but he doesn't even think that Jeff Sessions has seen what they've been asking for. So maybe there's some aid there that's like throwing out
are blocking this
mail.
and not getting it to the Attorney General. Well, it's on Fox now, so Mr. Attorney General, if you've seen it, we have this morning reached out to staffers to the Attorney General, want to get some response about Devin Nunes saying he's moving to hold the Attorney General of the United States in contempt.
I will say that DOJ has tried in the recent weeks and months to reach out and say, we're doing the best we can. We're trying to produce more. We're trying to produce faster. We just don't have enough people on it. This strikes me as a high level of enough thing and ask. We're talking about the FISA process and surveillance, that if the Attorney General doesn't know about it, he should. And if he does, and they're slow walking it, it's almost, ask yourself why. And this is especially a guy who's recused himself, for better or for worse. Why couldn't he just approve, hey, let the right people with the right classification see it, redact what you need to, but at least let them see it.
And Devin Nunes would be one of those people. So this is not just coming from lawmakers, though. Remember, this is coming on the heels of now 2 judges that have been taking up cases saying, we don't have enough evidence to try these people. We need more from the DOJ. The example, the one in Alexandria, Virginia. It says we're trying Paul Manafort for tax fraud and bank fraud back years ago.
2005.
2005. What does this have to do with Russian collusion? So that he's now sent it back.
We're seeing the investigators being investigated.
Yeah.
You see that at the FBI. Lisa Page resigning on Friday night. Some redactions pulled back from a House Intel report where Devin Nunes also exposed the fact that maybe James Comey wasn't telling the truth when he told Brett Baier he didn't know that the FBI agents who originally talked to General Michael Flynn didn't believe he was lying.
And the credibility of these folks is being questioned because when Jeff Sessions recused himself, Rod Rosenstein took over. A question that I think needs to be asked is, so he signed the scathing memo. Remember the memo that recommended Comey be fired after discussing with the president. So under Mueller's theory that he's doing right now, that firing of Comey by Rosenstein was obstruction, right? So wouldn't that make Rosenstein part of the conspiracy? Think about that. He wrote the memo that the president used to fire Comey, and now he's overseeing the special counsel and Bob Mueller that's looking into obstruction. It's all very circular, and you wonder if he's doing enough to confine the investigation. We've talked today about that memo, the, what's the name
about
of
the
that?
scope. The
scope memo. I
That's
don't
the
even know
memo
it yet.
that T.S. Ellis, who is this judge in Alexandria, Virginia, he's now asking for access to that probe
within
memo.
the next 2 weeks. So
The
there's
scope
another
memo, right.
deadline. You've got the deadline with Jeff Sessions to talk to Congress, potential contempt charges from Devin Nunes. We'll ask Steve Scalise, by the way, one of the top House Republican leaders. He's going to be live in a few moments. We'll ask him whether this will ever come to a vote, or will he dismiss it, or will he back up Devin Nunes?
How do these things normally end? Because you're sort of our D.C. guy, been there for a very long
Look
time.
into the crystal ball for us, Ed.
So Devin Nunes was on, and he sort of breaks this news of what's going to happen and what they're asking Jeff Sessions and his team to give them. Where do you think this leads? Will Jeff Sessions have to respond back to them at some point? Can they really hold him in contempt of Congress?
I don't think that Jeff Sessions, to be honest, will ever be held in contempt of Congress. I think it's a tactic. I think it's a pressure move. But the bottom line is, time and time again, the FBI and the Justice Department, and Devin Nunes was speaking to this earlier, have said, we can't turn over X for national security reasons. Oh, gosh, no, Devin Nunes cannot put out this House Republican memo about FISA abuse, or the Republic will be brought to its knees. We can't see this. Then the memo comes out with some redactions.
Yes.
Okay, actually, we needed to know that information.
Right.
So my suspicion is this is a pressure tactic. Jeff Sessions will not be arrested or held in contempt, but it will put more pressure on them to release the actual documents that these Republicans
Maybe
want to see.
pressure that needed to be put on these people a long time ago.
The more we reveal, the better, and the faster, the better. Let's move on with a lot of things. Well, we cover on this program a lot of the culture wars that go on.
What's going on in your
country.
home state?
Well, yeah, what's going on in Minnesota, indeed. So, remember we talked about they were tearing down the Confederate generals, and some folks said, well, next we're coming for maybe the statue of Jefferson or Washington. And then we had kneeling for the national anthem, should you stand or not. Now we have In God We Trust, and should it be in our public schools or not? A state senator in Minnesota proposed a bill that would have allowed schools there the opportunity to put In God We Trust in the school, if you want. It's the official motto of the United States.
Not with public funds. It would be private.
Not with public funds. Private money in the school, if your school district chooses to do so.
How did that go?
He introduced it on the Senate floor. It actually did pass. But before it passed, a couple of Minnesota Democrats had this to say about our country's motto.
I'm wondering if Senator Hall would feel the same if students walked in and instead of the word God, the word Allah welcomed students to their school.
I don't want that motto on our money. I don't want it in our public schools.
I mean, we ripped God out of our public schools a long time ago. And polls show that 90% of Americans believe in God. But this is about our national motto in our country. It's printed on our money.
Right.
We've always, we don't get our rights from government. They're endowed by a creator. We say in our Declaration in the Constitution. And so introducing this and getting this kind of pushback makes you wonder,
How do you even,
where's the modern left?
and how do you even get to that point of in Allah we trust?
Well, they're
Right?
trying to make a larger point. Why your God? Why a Christian God? Why a Muslim God? Whatever. Well, In God We Trust could say God.
Everybody,
It's not
for everybody.
This is a country founded on religious freedom. They're not telling you have to worship. Well, Dan, we had the state senator from Minnesota, Dan Hall, who was referred in those comments on our program earlier, and he talked about why the amendment and what it means. Listen.
There seems to be an anti-faith movement in our country to suppress anything that is religious in any way and wipe it out of government. I only assume that if you take those things out of government, if you take the things that are respectful out, you're going to put in something different. And I hate to say what that could be, but I'm here to tell you we need to bring respect back to our country and religious freedom.
Respect. What a novel concept.
Well, yeah, when you believe in something greater than yourself, you understand that you might not be the center of the universe, and maybe treating others
Respect
kindly
is such a good word, because that's ultimately what this country was founded on. Right?
Well, it's
Freedom.
founded on liberty.
Liberty, but respecting
Give me my liberty and then I'll
people's
respect
liberty, right?
you.
Respecting religion, respecting
Yes,
all of those differences. That's what we were founded on as Americans. It's amazing today how far away we've come from that.
Absolutely. And this is firing you up, and we're getting tweets, we're getting emails. Tweet from Justin. In God We Trust should not be an option. It's the motto of the United States of America. It should be posted everywhere.
I agree. If it's the motto, why isn't it? We should have one on set here.
All right, this one comes from David. Says, we celebrate our faith in God and country. Not only should we not remove the words from our schools and money, we should reinstate the 10 Commandments in every federal and state building.
Remember, that used to be very normal. Email from Betty said this: it should not be removed from anything. Our country's true blessings and history are gifted from God. Amen. Remember, it's never been freedom from religion. It's always been freedom of religion.
Sure.
First Amendment. Man, how we got so far away from that. that we have to litigate in God we trust is scary. And I think it's why a lot of people appreciate this president standing up to that cultural assault and saying no more. We stand for our anthem. We support our cops. We have a border. You know, we love our military.
We should be proud of what this country
We
was
believe in
founded
God,
on.
and we should be proud of our founding fathers.
Even George Washington.
Even George.
We don't need to be called the hippos.
The original George W.
Well, keep those emails coming. friends@foxnews.com. And speaking of inspirational words, what about an inspirational man? House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, a man who's come a long way just in the last few months after that shooting at the baseball practice. He's going to be live to talk about the news of the day.
Always great to have him. Plus, he's a Grammy winner with 32 #1 songs to his name.
So
now
good.
Christian artist Michael W. Smith is bringing his message of faith to a new generation. I grew up listening to his music, as I'm sure a lot of
Because this is so important, I'm not going to take any excuse to say, oh, we're harming national security. You know, how many times have we heard that argument throughout this entire investigation? We're just not going to take this nonsense of every time we peel something back, every time we need information, we get ignored, we get stalled, we get stonewalled.
That was just a few moments ago on our show. House Intel Chair Devin Nunes vowing to take action as requests for information are repeatedly ignored, as he says, by the DOJ.
So, what do House Republican leaders think of this accused stonewalling toward their colleagues? Let's ask House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. Majority, thank you very much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. You heard what your colleague had to say about stonewalling. Is that the position of the majority as well? I mean, is that what leadership's take on obstruction and stonewalling from the DOJ?
Well, I strongly support the work that Chairman Nunes and his entire committee have been doing to uncover the truth and to hold the Department of Justice accountable. I have deeper and deeper concerns the more I see some of this, not only the stonewalling, but what's been in some of these memos. You know, we've seen from what we're trying to get the scope memo, but we're also been trying to get a lot of other information from the Department of Justice about this investigation, and everything that we uncover raises even deeper concerns about the direction. And as the federal judge just said the other day, you know, where are they going with this thing? Is this thing turning into a witch hunt? I think they're serious questions.
Why has the DOJ been so slow at responding to your request? You think about Devin Nunes. They have the clearances they need to see much of what is in these documents. Why have they been so slow?
Maybe because some of the things that have been coming out shine a really bad light on the Mueller investigation and a lot of the things surrounding what Comey has done. I mean, Comey just recently said that, you know, initially they were saying that Flynn was lying in some of these interviews. Now, some of the things that have come out said that Comey and others didn't think Flynn was lying. So, you know, I think they need to be held accountable, and I think that the information that's been coming out really raises a lot of questions about what they were doing behind closed doors under all of these veils of secrecy, saying, oh, you can't see this document, you can't see that document. And then we find some of these documents, and it really shines a negative light on the work of this entire team over there with this investigation.
Well, Congressman, these investigations may be a big issue in the midterms, obviously, but so will the economy, the tax cuts that you helped shepherd through. And I wonder, when you've got these primaries coming, some big ones in big states on Tuesday, Ohio, North Carolina, West Virginia, Indiana, what's your sense? We've heard so much about this so-called blue wave. Democrats have history on their side. They believe that they're going to take back the House. The president was in Battleground, Ohio yesterday talking up the tax cuts. What say you about where the Republican Party is right now?
Well, we've got the economy on our side, but we know that there is a whatever you want to call it, there is a lot of intensity on the Democrat side, you know, and so they're going to be showing up to vote. But our folks are going to be showing up to vote, too. I think if you see what President Trump is doing, going around the country, highlighting the fact that the work we've done, especially this Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, has done a tremendous job at rebuilding our middle class, giving hardworking taxpayers more of their hard-earned money. You got Nancy Pelosi out there saying not only will she run for Speaker again if they get the majority, but she wants to undo the tax cuts. She wants to take away the money out of the pockets of those middle-class families that are finally seeing some benefit from what's happening with the economy. She wants to unravel that. We can't let that happen. We need to keep highlighting not only how important these jobs and the tax cuts have been to creating jobs and giving people more of their money, but how Nancy Pelosi wants to take that away if she's able to get the House and become Speaker again.
Well, and some of Nancy Pelosi's colleagues would like to move toward impeachment as well. So is talking about national issues and that reality, if the Dems win the House, part of the strategy to motivate people as well?
I think it's very important to show the country just what's at stake this November. Clearly, as you've pointed out, the radical left wants to move towards impeachment. They want to reverse the things that we've done to get our economy moving again. And they're seeing what a vibrant economy looks like. Just Friday, we had new numbers released that show that we have the lowest unemployment in America in almost 20 years. You know, is that really the kind of success we want to reverse? So I'm glad that President Trump is out there talking about this. We worked very hard with President Trump to get this economy moving again after 8 years of Barack Obama wrecking the economy with higher taxes, with mandates like Obamacare and other things like Dodd-Frank. So let's get our economy moving again. Getting people back to work is the best antidote to what the Democrats are trying to push, which is no agenda. It's just reversing the success.
I was just going to say, you're back to work. You've been such an inspiration to our show and to people all around the country surviving that shooting on the baseball field almost a year ago. We hear that your last operations were just 2 weeks ago. Is that right?
That's right. I had my final surgery tied to putting everything back together about 2 weeks ago, and it was a big success. So I know we're moving in the right direction, but good to be back at work.
Well, it's great to have you, Congressman. Great to see you this morning.
See you soon.
Great being back with you.
Appreciate it.
All right. President Trump says our border is a mess after the caravan of migrants crosses into the U.S. Now he's threatening to shut down the government if this wall does not get built. Should it get to that point, we're going to debate next.
And a World War II vet finally gets his diploma. Nearly 7 decades later, the emotional ceremony. He said he was busy, raising a family and stuff like that. Coming up, the island, as the area braces for yet more eruptions today. Several vents opening up, spewing lava and deadly gases into the air of residential neighborhoods. Very serious situation. 2 days after the burst of the Kilauea volcano, at least 5 homes have been destroyed. Scientists warn the quakes and lava flows could continue for weeks. In another Fox News alert right now, the FBI is investigating a deadly ISIS threat right here on American soil. Disturbing tweets from an alleged student at Lafayette College in Pennsylvania, forcing authorities to do an intense search overnight. One of those tweets is a link to an alarming letter reading in part, "I have set up several pipe bombs, pressure cookers, and nail bombs around the campus and plan to inflict the utmost damage possible." This tweet showing guns laid out with a message, "Allah has graced us with these weapons of destruction to carry out his needs." Now, we should say no harmful materials were found, but the school remains obviously on high alert. Pete?
Thanks, Ed. Well, President Trump doubling down on his calls to fix immigration laws and build that wall. Listen.
We have to build. How about the wall where everyone scales the wall? We are fixing and building walls now, but we need much more money. We're doing the job right. We're going to do the job. And we may have to close up our country to get this straight.
Well, should it have got to this point to begin with to get that border wall? Well, here to debate, Fox News contributor Jessica Tarlov and conservative political commentator and author Michael Knowles. Thank you both for being here.
Good morning.
Jessica, let me start with that. It doesn't look functional when you see the de facto policy, the de facto practice on the border is scaling a wall, claiming amnesty. Maybe it takes a year or two to actually be seen in that hearing. Then there maybe don't show up. How does that make sense vis-a-vis a merit-based system where we know who's coming into our country?
It doesn't make sense at all, and I think that Democrats actually can get on board with that you don't want to see those scenes. You want to make sure that people who are coming here seeking asylum from regimes and countries where they just can't possibly live are getting seen. They're getting into the court system and making sure that they have safe passage, as it were. But those scenes are no good for everyone, and I understand why the president is frustrated.
Michael, do you believe that sounds like a pretty reasonable approach? Do you think Democrats on the national level, some of which who have said we're committed to more open borders, are willing to find a middle ground and a rational approach?
Jessica's approach certainly sounds rational, as do the Democrats when they talk about it. But when it actually comes to enforcing immigration law, they fail. They refuse to do it because we know that they rely on these votes. Right now in the United States, Donald Trump has identified a simple issue, which is that illegal immigration is illegal. We know that this is a winner with the American people. We know that the majority of Americans, including the majority of Democrats, do not think that giving amnesty to illegal aliens should be a priority for Congress. And yet Democrats rely on these votes as an electoral strategy. We know the Center for American Progress admitted this. We know that between 3 and 8.75% of illegal aliens and Hispanic immigrants identify with Democrats over Republicans. So you're going to see Democrats continue to push this strategy. They push for wholesale importation of foreigners. They push for enfranchising felons. They push for lowering the voting age. The Democrat base has become felons, foreigners, and children. That's a winner for Democrats if they can get it through. But the American people, I think, can see through it.
Jessica,
Michael, it's Sunday morning. There's so many offensive things to be saying so early. I don't understand how illegal, calling the Democratic base felons. It's so.
Well, I think he's referring what he's referring to is criminal justice reform. He's putting it
which
differently.
is a good thing that Republicans and Democrats.
Well, not all Republicans support that.
Oh, a lot of them do actually, and you have actually been leading the way there. If you look at what Tim Scott and Newt Gingrich are doing, but when you say the Center for American Progress has admitted that our strategy is to have illegal aliens vote, what are you talking about? There's no massive voter fraud
I'm talking about the leaked
scheme
memorandum that said.
That said what?
I'm talking about a leaked memorandum that said that it is key to the electoral strategy of Democrats to provide amnesty, particularly for young illegal aliens.
It was an admission.
So they can
because
vote?
we know that they identify with Democrats.
Are you saying that illegal aliens are voting in this country?
No, but they will vote, and if they do vote, if they are given amnesty
and
or given a path to vote, they'll vote for Democrats.
Amnesty and citizenship are different.
Are very different.
But
most
Democrats, Jessica, most Democrats would seek citizenship as an eventual result of amnesty if they could, correct?
I'm sure down the line, but when you look at the programs that are in place, when you're talking about amnesty for asylum seekers that are coming here from Central and South America, I think you guys are completely off base, and you're just trying to scare people about this.
This is an honest question.
Yeah.
This is an honest question. If you're an asylum seeker and you're from a country where you don't want to live and you want to come to America, shouldn't we ask you to go through the proper channels and do it, submit that way and not scale a fence or do so under nefarious ways?
I think so. It's an incredibly complicated issue when you consider the fact you should be applying for amnesty in your home country. I've heard 75% or upwards of 75% are denied that. So then because they can't live at home anymore, they then carry on and they end up scaling that wall. I don't think that this is the right way, but I also don't think that there's necessarily a good solution to this, since we are a country that wants to help others who have bad circumstances where they're coming from.
Michael?
Jessica, this isn't a complicated issue. Illegal immigration is illegal. We have right now record high percentages of the foreign-born population to the U.S. population as a whole. It hasn't been this high since 1890. Every single day we arrest 1,000 people, illegal aliens crossing onto our border, and then we release them into the general population. We know that 60 to 80% of women and girls who cross the border illegally are raped and sexually assaulted. If the suggestion here is that all of these illegal aliens are asylum seekers, that's the new euphemism that we're using for people flouting our immigration laws and crossing illegally. What percentage would you advocate? We're at record high levels. What percentage do you advocate?
Record
what
high
number
levels
is enough?
of asylum seekers or people who are overstaying on visas. They're coming from countries not south of the border. They're coming from Europe. They're coming from Russia.
Usually
I think
folks
you're really
that want to come here
conflating
illegally
issues
try
here.
to find the path of least resistance. And if at this moment it's amnesty, wouldn't you acknowledge that it could be used as a tool?
But that isn't the path of least resistance. You see a lot of resistance there, actually. The amount of people who are being held essentially in camps there. If you look at the statistics about visa overstays, and as I said again, these are people coming from Europe, these are people coming from Russia, and yes, some will try to sneak across the border, but majority are getting in here and they're coming on tourist visas or work visas, and then they're overstaying.
That's a problem as well. No one's saying there aren't other reasons.
Michael is only talking about this as a problem, scaling a wall problem, but this is a much broader immigration problem.
Well, that's why ICE has been bolstered as well. Michael, we have to leave it there. Unfortunately, you've both made some strong arguments. Jessica Tarloff, Michael Knowles. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Well, oops. Trump-hating Rosie O'Donnell caught making illegal donations to Democrats. But do you think she'll be held accountable? That is a question that answers itself. And should we be worried about a trade war between the U.S. and China? One of the world's richest people says there's no need to worry. Maria Bartiromo joins us live to explain.
It's meant to be,
Aw, I love this song.
Good song.
As long as I'm next to you.
You're down. Oh, you're talking right now?
Yeah. You too.
Okay, good.
I like it. I'm just going to I'm just like I'm doing a show right now.
Eating right now.
Well, I got my cheeseburger here. You're going to hear about these cheeseburgers
What number
in a second.
burger is that this
It's my third of the morning. But we got Burger Inc. over there from here in New York. Bringing burger.
It is
National No Diet Day.
You should just start wearing sweatpants to the show. So you can like sit on the couch and eat.
Every day is National No Diet Day.
All right, we're going to get to burgers and so much more, but I do want to start with some headlines that are coming into our newsroom this morning. North Korea criticizing the U.S. just weeks before President Trump and Kim Jong-un are expected to hold a historic summit. The country now accusing the U.S. of, quote, misleading claims that President Trump's pressure and sanctions drove North Korea to the negotiating table, an official calling it a dangerous attempt to ruin the Korean Peninsula's improving relationships. And police, following the 911 call of the deadly Waffle House shooting, were intentionally sent to the wrong restaurant. Local media reporting that the dispatcher didn't know the call's location and guessed. Officers were sent to a more popular Waffle House nearly 9 miles away. The shooting happened at a newer restaurant which doesn't show up on Google Maps. 90 seconds later, officers were headed in the correct location. 4 people were killed in that April attack. Yikes. And self-declared Trump hater Rosie O'Donnell could be in some trouble with the law. The New York Post reporting that she donated a combined $5,400 over the legal limit to at least 5 Democrats. That is according to FEC rules. A candidate may not receive more than $2,700 from any one person per election. On the other side, back in 2014, conservative filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza was arrested and indicted on similar charges of illegal campaign contributions. He avoided prison time. And this story's great. A World War II veteran finally getting his diploma 68 years after leaving college. 96-year-old Bob Barger, that's who it is. He is now the oldest graduate ever at the University of Toledo. After receiving his transcripts, the Ohio school discovered that the former Navy pilot had enough credits for an associate's degree. Barger never finished because he says he was busy with the job and raising a family, which is a perfect excuse.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Good for him, though.
Congrats.
Finished.
Indeed.
All right.
All right, we're going to toss it over to Adam. He's got some weather and some burgers.
Hey guys, it's No Diet Day, and I've got a huge plate of food sitting right in front of me, a ton of food. Before I do that, I have to earn my dinner. That's what they told me anyway. So I will do the forecast really quick. Here's what we're talking about weather-wise, stretching across the country. Rain on the East Coast, if we can take a look at those maps. Middle of the country, the western half of the country, things aren't looking as bad. But the real story here, the rest of the day, getting into the next couple of days, is going to be the heat that's piling up in the center of the country. We're talking about temperatures getting up into the 80s, running up closer to 90 degrees. So it is going to be a real hot one. We've got heat warnings in the southwest. But now, I've done what I had to do, got that out of the way. Now it's time for the dessert or the main course. I've got with me Randy Lee, owner of Burger Inc.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, it's kind of been a burger rebirth here in the last couple of years, right?
Yes, because the gluttony and the photos of Instagram, you know.
Gluttony, I know all about that.
Yes.
And Instagram, I love both those things.
So that's you know, we like to make beautiful food that tastes just as good as it looks.
Okay, I've got 2 questions for you.
Yes.
First, what is your favorite thing? I want to dig into one. Tell me which thing I should dig into, and then tell me about your shop. Where's it located? Everything
great.
like that.
This is the Bay Burger, which is off the menu.
Off the menu? That's
Yes.
my favorite type of burger.
Okay, so it consists of tater tots, fried egg, bacon, egg.
Oh, yeah.
You just pop the egg. That's
With the juices running
Yep.
down right there, all the bacon?
Yes.
Can't talk anymore.
There you go.
Run with it. Run with it.
So, mac and cheese poppers, that's another fantastic thing that we serve. Basically, we love this food, and we like to share it with the world.
Where's the shop?
The shop is located in Meatpacking District. Meatpacking District, inside Kansas Market.
This is a really big burger.
You need tips
This
from
is a
Pete.
big bite. Like, I can hardly fit that in
The
my
general
mouth.
tip is if there are other people there, then you can eat. But if you're the only one interviewing, tough to eat.
Rookie mistake.
Pete, I watch you eat all the time. I never considered that you were just relying on
How are those
everybody else.
mac and cheese balls?
I'm
That's
freeloading on everybody else, Adam.
Second best thing, what is it?
This is the crew fries, which we named it after to share with your crew. You know, it's, we have pulled pork in there, bacon, Angus beef, tater tots, cheese, fried egg on top of it, and jalapenos.
Take another bite. Adam.
All right, Randy, we appreciate it. Now I'm going to keep eating.
All right,
Now
buddy.
I don't have to worry about
Enjoy.
talking to you.
All right, it's Burger Inc. here
By
in
the
New
way,
York City.
people should have seen Maria Bartiromo. She's coming up, and she was watching this with horror. Like, what is going on right now on this?
She's now over there.
And there she is.
Maria, take a bite.
Have some for
Let
us.
us know how the mac and cheese balls are.
This is a lot of food here.
Enjoy. Indulge.
Yeah.
No
diet day.
No diet, Maria. Come on.
No diet day.
Tater trotters look really good, actually.
Those are
Dig
actually
in.
mac and cheese
Oh,
poppers.
mac and cheese
This is
pops.
what
That's
happens on our
yours.
show.
Mac
I know.
and cheese pops.
Poppers, yeah.
It's off the rails or off the grill at this point. Anyway.
America finds out what we're doing next, right when we do on
Yeah.
live TV.
Should we be
Steve,
worried
take us
about
away.
it? By the way, should we be
Go for
worried
it.
about a trade war between the U.S. and China? One of the world's richest people says there's no need to worry.
Maria Bartiromo is here to explain next.
Pelosi is a Grammy winner with 32 #1 songs to his name. Now Christian artist Michael W. Smith, we all know him. He is bringing his message of faith to a whole new generation. He is here. He is live. We are all so excited for this. A whole lot more on Fox and Friends
Hey,
Sunday.
Michael.
Yep.
Stick with us.
Quick headlines for you. The state of California now has the world's 5th largest economy. California's gross domestic product, or GDP, was more than $2.7 trillion in 2017, surpassing the United Kingdom. Only the United States, China, Japan, and Germany now have larger GDPs. Wow. And the Big Mac man reaching a major milestone. Don Gorski ate his 30,000th Big Mac on Friday in Wisconsin. He joined us later explaining his love for the iconic burger. Listen.
When I bit into that first Big Mac, it was just so good, and I just knew I was going to keep eating them all the time.
It's my absolute favorite. He's been eating 2 Big Macs every day since 1972 and vows to continue until the day he dies. He's lost weight over that time eating Big Macs. Once ate 9 in one day.
You've got to see Maria Bartiromo's face. She is horrified with the show right now.
What, this guy eats 2 Big Macs a day?
President Trump using his visit to the industrial Midwest yesterday to talk tough on trade. Here's some of that.
We did a thing called tariffs, and we did it on steel and aluminum, and we're doing a lot of other things. My group just got back from China. We're going to have to rework trade with China because that's been a one-way street for decades, and we just can't have it happen.
As the president mentioned, his high-level delegation returns from China, where they negotiated our big moves. The big question, what does this all mean for you and your wallet?
And here to break it down, the best in the business, Sunday Morning Features host, Maria Bartiromo. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you guys.
We got, finally, after talking burgers, we finally get to talk turkey with you, I
Yes,
guess.
good. Yeah,
so,
good.
but where are we on all of this? Because the president's critics say that his team is coming home from China empty-handed. On the other hand, we'd heard all this business about tariffs and it's going to blow up the economy and China won't do anything. He has gotten China to move some.
He really has. And I can tell you for sure that I've spoken with several businessmen who've done business in China, like a Hank Greenberg, former CEO of AIG, the first business person to ever really do business in China, Steve Schwarzman from the Blackstone Group. And they both said the same thing, and others as well, that is, China understands that they cannot do business the way that they have in the past. They recognize that things have to change. Look, the bottom line is everybody gets this. Everybody knows that China has been stealing from America for years and years. We have not pushed back on it. If the president and his team that just came back can actually move the needle a bit on either the transfer of technology. China participates in 10% of all venture capital deals in the U.S. What do? They invest in American companies. They force those companies to give up all their technology, and then they transfer to technology companies in China.
State-run technology.
State-run, and then they beat us at our own game. And I'm talking about the industries of tomorrow, like AI, robotics. If they could actually move the needle on that, less of that, and also open up the markets for certain industries so that American companies can sell to the 1.3 billion population in China, then this will be a huge victory for the president.
Well, you've got your show coming up in a few minutes. I'm sure you saw our interview with Congressman Devin Nunes. You're going to have some guests, I'm assuming you could ask about that big news this morning of taking those steps, as Devin Nunes says, to hold Attorney General Jeff Sessions in contempt of Congress.
And we know that the Department of Justice and the FBI have been stonewalling Congress for over a year right now. So I'm going to speak with the Majority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, and I will put the question right to him. How far are you willing to take this in terms of the contempt of Congress charges and pursuing impeachment? And that means impeaching Rod Rosenstein and Mr. Sessions as well. We'll also speak with Michael Mukasey, former AG. He'll have some thoughts on this as well.
Don't you dare change that channel. Maria's here at the top of the hour. She's going to get maybe a quick bite of breakfast or brunch.
The mac and cheese poppers.
We're
Right
here
up to
for you,
the
Maria.
studio.
We're here for you.
Love it.
It'll be a great
Thanks,
show.
Maria.
All right, still ahead on the show, he is a Grammy winner with 32 #1 songs to his name now. Christian artist Michael W. Smith bringing his message of faith to a whole new generation. He is here. He is performing live. Take it away, Michael W. Smith.
Hush and listen, my sleepy one. The world is yawning. The day.
Well, he's a Grammy winner with 32 #1 songs to his name. What an accomplishment. But he's also known as one of the most influential Christian music artists in the entire world.
And now he is bringing that message of faith to a whole new generation with a children's series called Nurturing Steps that includes a book called Nighty Night and Good Night and a new album called Lullaby.
Joining us now, singer, songwriter, and author Michael W. Smith. Sir, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
What a
Appreciate
pleasure
it.
to have you. An honor indeed. As I told you, I grew up listening to your music, as did so many folks in our audience, and still listen to your music. But it's usually music more or less for adults. Now you're doing stuff for kids. Why?
Well, I've always wanted to do a lullaby record and write a book for my grandkids. I've got 14 grandkids, which is insane.
You have 5 kids, 14 grandkids.
Exactly. So I call it the beautiful chaos.
I love it.
And it's just awesome. And so it's something I wanted to do for a long time. And so we found a window to try to pull this thing off. And I'm really excited about it. My grandkids love it. I think, and they call me G-Daddy, which I love.
In fact,
That's amazing.
Can you take us to break with a quick song?
I can do that.
What are you going to play for
seconds
us?
to do it.
Well, this is a song that I wrote with one of my children and her husband, because we want to have a couple
All
of
right,
rituals.
let's do
We've got some standards and all that sort of thing. So yeah, you want to hear
What's
it?
it called?
This is called No More Crying. Who didn't want
I love
to
it.
get your kids to stop crying?
Take it away, Michael
okay,
W. Smith.
So here we go. Hush and listen, my sleepy one. The world is yawning, the day is done. The moon and stars are shining bright, and now it's time to sleep through the night. No need to fear, Jesus is here. Rest, little one, safe in my love. No more crying. So close your eyes, I pray you dream of love and laughter and beauty. Heaven is bright, and here tonight, rest, little one, safe in my love. No more crying. I will be here when you wake. We'll laugh and dance, we'll run and play. Your peaceful sleep will give you strength. Rest, little one, safe in my love. No more crying. Rest, little one, safe in my love. No more crying. You're safe here in my love.